What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is Does It Suck? The show where we take a deep dive look at a new game and see what's good or bad about it. Now, today we're going to discuss Star Wars Outlaws, because I just played about 4 hours of it, having a chance to fly around in space, to do a lot of missions, to actually complete some side quests and weapon upgrades and stuff, and I have some thoughts, both positive and negative, but let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I must admit, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I've watched the movies and some of the TV shows and stuff, but, I'm not exactly sitting here trying to just beg for Luke to come back or randomly quoting Yoda and stuff like that. Instead, when I play a Star Wars game, I just want it to be a fun game. And Outlaws, I think it takes a very unique perspective. This is during the era of the Dark Jedi, where there's just not a lot of Jedi in general around. So because of it, instead of seeing a ton of lightsabers and force abilities and stuff, this hyper focuses on just the common folk, the normal people that live in the hives of scum and villainy. We're playing as this woman called Kay, who's trying to get rid of a terrible blood bounty. She has a tremendous amount of debt, and she's trying to basically buy her freedom. Now, the way she's going to do this is by building a crew, finding a big batch of scrappy underdogs that will do stuff like fly her ship, upgrade her weapons, to do stuff like crack safes and stuff like that. So throughout the course of the game, we meet a lot of very quirky, cool aliens and stuff like that. But what immediately struck me about Outlaws was just the absolute size of it. During the course of this 4 hours, I had a chance to explore a ton, to just drive in so many random directions, but I think the thing that's just so cool is the fact that you can get in your ship and just fly up into space. While you're up there, you can do dogfights or land in Imperial bases, and they've said there's going to be quite a few planets to explore, but this also isn't trying to be like just a pure exploration game. It is tight, it is focused, and it is just centered on this handful of very handcrafted worlds. So this first one that I spent almost all my time on was called Tashara. It's a completely new moon that they've invented just for this game, and while I was on it, I really kind of enjoyed the fact that clearly there is a lot of very branching paths during the course of these missions. Like if you're trying to go up an elevator in like a criminal bar, you can hack the panel, find somebody who's drunk to try and get them to sell you a key to the elevator. Or what I did is I ended up just going outside, finding a back door entrance, going through like a maintenance hatch and sneaking into the elevator that way, completely undetected. And I saw this a lot. I think this game is definitely much more focused on sneaking, though, than I originally thought. So before we go into more positives, I do want to talk about the primary negative I had about this, because during the course of my 4 hours with this, the biggest problem that I encountered again and again is that I think this is much closer to Splinter Cell than I thought it was going to be. This is the kind of game where, honestly, Kay does not have a lot of health. If she gets seen, you die incredibly easy, and your weapons aren't particularly strong. You're like Han Solo. You're not out here trying to defeat the entire enemy empire by yourself. Instead, it's just about not being seen and not being detected. During a lot of these missions, you simply cannot get spotted. If you do get seen, there's even an auto fail state where if you get spotted and they ring the alarm, you automatically instantly lose. Or times where, like, I was on this frozen base here while I'm on this moon, anytime I got spotted, they'd kick me out of the base and I had to walk back inside. So creeping into this base over and over again, trying to dodge every guard and make sure I don't accidentally trip any like red tape or get spotted by a camera like that. Every time I got seen, having to walk back in and redo the entire gauntlet, it was a bit frustrating in particular moments. Now, when it does actually go down, when you do actually have to fight, the controls are great. Kay isn't completely defenseless. Her little phaser blaster thing does do some decent damage. You can shoot people, it does seem to have infinite ammo, and you can pick up guns off the ground. When you kill somebody and they've got a bigger, beefier rifle, you can temporarily hold it. If you try and press any button other than shoot though, you do just drop the gun. So anytime you try to touch a panel or like go up a ladder or something like that, you'll drop the weapons you've collected, which to me does feel a bit weird from a design perspective, but I respect it. So instead, the goal is to just not be seen, to stay out of sight and out of mind. But during the course of doing this, I do think that while I was playing this, I really enjoyed just graphically how everything looks. Like, of course, this is a lot of imagery you've probably seen in other Star Wars games, lots of big stucco polished floors and really long hallways and cool underground scummy bars with smoke rising up and stuff like that. But I feel like it can't be understated. I think a lot of this demo I had a chance to play was very, very visually impressive. Of course, there were little glitches here and there with some effects and explosions, stuff like that. But 99% of the time, I think this game looks incredibly good, especially that snow planet I had a chance to visit. But while I was playing Kay, and while I was having a chance to just actually explore, I think I really just had the most fun when I wasn't trying to do a main quest, when I was just kind of checking out the countryside, when I was just collecting random scrap and stuff, or when I just walked into a bar and started playing some cards with other people with this robot poker dealer thing. Stuff like that to me is incredibly cool, and I feel like it enriches the world a lot. But it is really cool that there is just so much going on, and I think this is going to be one of those kind of games where every person that plays it is going to have a radically different experience because of the syndicate system. So because there are multiple big crime families like the Red Crimson and the Hutts and stuff like that, it's not just about doing the deals for the bad guys. It's not just about, calling out bounties and hunting down other people or doing sort of side quests and stuff like that. Instead, it's also about trust. These different syndicates all hate each other. They're all trying to vie for power. And we are just a little freelancer. We're not technically just bound to any particular group. So if somebody like the Crimson Dawn chooses to hire you to steal something valuable, well, you can still do it, or you can just take that information to the enemy and immediately sell them out. A lot of times there's branching paths in each an individual mission that will actually build up your reputation. Like one of the main quests I did was sneaking onto this big Empire base, and when I went up there, they basically said, okay, your goal is to hack their bank account and erase their debt, which will make it look like they did it. If we frame the Crimson Dawn, then the Empire will come after them, and that'll be pretty dang hilarious. But when I got there, it was like, okay, we could do that, or we could actually just delete the other people's, maybe wipe out some Hutt debt or something like that to frame them, and then help the Crimson Dawn build up more love or trust with them. Now, by building up your trust and reputation with a particular faction, it allows you to go into their bases, to talk to their vendors, to do some upgrades there, but you can also just completely screw them over. Like at one point, I built up trust with one people, so they would let me walk into their top secret base, and then I stole a bunch of phaser upgrades to make my blaster able to deal not just more damage, but special shield damage. I got this cool upgrade that would actually deactivate droids, a special stun gun. And that to me is cool, that there was this completely different experience that some of you guys who buy the game are not going to have if you don't play it the way that I played it. It's going to be kind of cool to see how everybody chooses to interact with this world, because I'm sure some people are going to just pick a group right at the start and stick with it. But I have to say, of all my time with this, I really do think that for the most part, I am pleasantly surprised. Like, now that I understand that this is a stealth game and not just a guns blazing big action game, this is not like Far Cry. It's much closer like old school Assassin's Creed, where you're just trying to stay as undetected and blend in as much as possible. But really, I like the fact that I can just go around. Flying through debris fields deep in space and hearing cool radio signals as I investigate different wreckage and stuff like that. Going down to the earth and actually just cruising around on my speeder and challenging random people to speeder bike races through this cool deserty region and stuff like that. I mean, I guess this is the kind of game where, to me, I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. It seems like this game is going to have a very different vibe to it than typical Star Wars. It's nice to see a very different take on Star Wars. I mean, maybe it all falls apart in the end, but, honestly, this first 4 hours, despite the frustrations I had from failing something over and over and over again, I can see what they're trying to do with it, and I did have fun. But what do you guys think about it? Are you guys excited for Star Wars Outlaws, and which faction do you want to actually team up with the most? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. I'm recording this video weeks and weeks ago, by the way, so if I randomly sound different than other videos around when this was posted, it's because I'm actually recording this on, July 18th. Man. So, hello, future people. Hopefully everything's great.